Hello guys, my name is Raza Masood. Today we will discuss what is a Scrum. Scrum is basically a project management approach. Before we start discussing the Scrum, let's see how the older versions of software developments are different. The older version of software development, like Waterfall Model, is in which we analyze the requirement, then do the requirement analysis, and then the design phase came, and after that development starts, and then do the testing. This is our Waterfall Model. In this waterfall model, as you know that many times it happens that we do the development, and in the requirement phase we expect that no other new requirement will came, but it happens many times that when we end up, the end product is not as per the requirement of customer, or customer totally disagree with the product. So when all these types of situations came, the interest of project management moves towards a different style of project management called as Scrum. Instead of sequence of work, we do small iterations in Scrum. In these iterations, we create small slices of desired product. At the end of the iteration, we show it to the customer, get their feedback, and refine our upcoming directions. In these iterations, we produce the desired product. In Scrum, we have process to run this adaptive life cycle. Sprint is basically a synonym of iteration. Scrum suggests don't run a Scrum more than 30 calendar days. Most of the time we run a Scrum of 2 weeks or 3 weeks. A Scrum basically create a time box to create a slice of desired product, sense of urgency, requirement, priority to do the work, and align ourselves towards the expectations of a stakeholder. The stakeholder will also get something at the end of the sprint which they can evaluate and give feedback. So sprint is basically a time box, and in this sprint many people work to achieve the goal of the product. In Scrum we have mainly three roles. Product owner. Product owner is the guy who always keep in touch with the stakeholder, keep talking to them, and identifying the right priorities which needs to be built, and he communicate the right priorities to the team. As these priorities communicate to team, the team collaborate with each other and figure out what they have to work on. In order to convert these priorities into working software, all this is facilitated and guided by a role called as Scrum Master. So the sprint starts with sprint planning meeting. In sprint planning meeting, we look at the list of the requirements called as product backlog. We can visualize product backlog as a wall where all requirements are written with sticky notes, or we can assume it as a Excel sheet, anything which has the complete list of requirements. In a meeting, a sprint meeting, the product owner picks the important requirement from product backlog and gave it to the team and said, team, can you work on it? Team will see what capacity we have, what we can do to achieve, what holidays are coming, what is the plan, according to which they talk with product owner and commit what priorities they can deliver in this sprint. In this sprint meeting, team also discuss internally what development activities will be required to convert these priorities into a workable software, what programming will be required, what database activities will be required. So it creates another backlog called as sprint backlog. Sprint backlog has the detail at which team working on that particular sprint. So product backlog has all the requirement and it can run several months, while the sprint backlog has the detail only at which team is currently working on. So the sprint backlog will run mostly 2 to 4 weeks. The team is using many mechanisms to self-organize. Instead, someone guide them that you should be doing this work today, you should be doing testing today, or you should be doing only programming today. Team self-organize themselves. Team follow a mechanism, like for example, I'm free today, so I can pick this work today from the backlog. This work is stuck, so I can work on this because I have time today. This type of mechanism is implemented using task force. Like it's basically a chart, like these tasks are pending, these tasks are ongoing, and these tasks are done. So this chart, like pending, ongoing tasks and done tasks, so this chart is called as task 4. It helps to organize their work or self-organize the team. A Scrum also suggests daily Scrum meeting for better planning. Daily Scrum happens on the same day, same schedule every day. It's a 15-minute meeting. Team discuss what's going on. A team member describes what he has achieved yesterday to make a Scrum goal reality. If a team member requires any help, they raise it as an impediment. The Scrum Master picked these impediment and get it resolved. The Scrum Master basically remove the roadblock from the passage of a team, so that the team can move forward smoothly, and helps team to achieve their sprint objectives. At the end of the sprint, we achieve something which we can show to the customer. In Scrum, we call increment. The increment means it has some previous developed sprint plus the new sprint. This increment demonstrated to customer in another meeting called a sprint review meeting. We will show it to the customer, get their feedback. On the basis of the feedback, the product owner update the product backlog. So during this sprint, product owner keep discussing the requirement, updating the priorities, updating product backlog, so that team will always have updated set of priorities via product backlog. Before we close the sprint, we get to know what we can do, how can we improve. So for this purpose, we will have another meeting called as inspect and adopt meeting. In this meeting, the team see how can we modify the process, how can we improve it and make it more productive. By running this iteration, we will be able to achieve the product objective. So this Scrum is basically a very simple framework. Start with the sprint planning, then do daily Scrum meeting, and then do the sprint review meeting to show product, and close it. Once the sprint is over, another sprint start. There is no gap in between, so we keep running like this. There are mainly three artifacts in a Scrum: the product backlog, where all requirements are stored; sprint backlog, a detail where tasks related to sprint are stored, like what programming techniques are required, what database activities will be, what testing techniques will be required. So these types of detail will be stored in sprint backlog. Increment where we add the newly sprint into the previously built sprint, and we show this this increment to the customer and get his feedback. So Scrum is very simple and having a very basic framework which makes adaptive cycle for you. I hope you like this video. If you like it, please share it with your friends and colleagues, and please subscribe to my channel so that I can share my updates or videos with you. Thanks a lot for your time. That's all from my side.